To keep or not to keep?
Hey guys, I'm Justin.
I'm Leigh.
Together we own Horrorland Media, and it is time yet again for a brand new episode of To Keep or Not to Keep. We counted them up, 40 titles this go around. This makes this the biggest episode yet. A lot of these titles, however, did get hit with the 30-minute rule. So, to be fair, we didn't actually watch all 40 of these. The 30-minute rule, to go back over that for those of you if you're new and haven't seen one of these episodes before, we put in a movie, if in 40 minutes, or 30 minutes, good God, if in 30 minutes it doesn't catch or hold our attention, then we take it out. And that's considered a sell. It's just, if something's not going to catch your attention in the first 30 minutes, if it doesn't have action, if it doesn't have something, then the chances are I'm probably never going to rewatch it. There's no sense in adding it to the collection. So that's kind of our 30-minute rule. We did go to the beach since our last episode, so what turned into us thinking that we weren't going to be able to watch a lot of films turned into me watching 2 or 3 films a day. Usually Leigh would cook breakfast, I would watch a film or 2 in the morning, and then we would try to end every day with watching a film at night, the 2 of us. So I think I watched double what me and Leigh watched, but anyways, we'll go ahead and get right into it. Like I said, 40 titles. We'll quit running our mouths and jump right in. I'll do the first couple here. So we have Drive-In Massacre from Severin Films. This is one that a lot of people really enjoy. I didn't care for it. It's just there's a drive-in and someone's going around basically killing the patrons of the drive-in with a sword. I mean, it's not a terrible film, but it's not one that I would ever probably rewatch. It's pretty slow. So yeah, for me, going to be a vote to sell. I'm going to run through these kind of quick, try to get through them here. We do have The Shrunken City from Full Moon. So if you guys remember, I bought these. These are from like the 90s. These are technically kids' movies, but these are video store staples. When we would go to the movie store back in the day with the VHSs, I would always rent these, and so I wanted to add these to the Full Moon collection even years later at 30 years old myself. But The Shrunken City, basically, this kingdom has been, or this city is being overrun with these like pirates, space pirates called the Ood, and so they shrink themselves down into a little, almost like a snow globe size. And years later, these 2 kids stumble upon it, and they actually unleash like the power source or whatever. So the Ood are they're now back. They've been hidden for years with this power source plugged in. So now that power source has been disconnected, the Ood is on the hunt trying to find them, and it's just the hijinks that ensues between that. Actually a pretty decent film, one that I'm going to vote to keep just to add to that Full Moon collection.
Alright, up next we have Screamboat. So when they said that David Howard Thornton played the mouse, I didn't expect him to somehow be miniature sized. So he's so tall in real life. If you've ever been around him, you would know. So yeah, I was a little taken back by that, because in the beginning I still thought he was larger, even though he wasn't up next to an actual human being in the very beginning. But no, he is not. So I'm not sure how that worked, but it was very interesting, I will say. It wasn't a bad movie, but it's basically all takes place on the ferry that goes from New York to Staten Island. And I don't know, it was quirky and it was funny, but
it was a little long.
Yeah, it was a little long for
a movie like this. Should have been 80 minutes, probably tops 80. I could even do with like 85, but this is an hour and 40. The time on the back of the case is actually wrong, because it says that it's only 93 minutes, but it's not an hour and 33. It's like an hour and 47 minutes, I think, is what it came in at. Again, it gets kind of long in the tooth there towards the end for me.
They drug it out for sure.
Yeah. So,
but it was not a bad movie, and for what it was, no, to me the mouse did not look very realistic at all. But I mean, I don't really know what you can expect with this kind of movie. So, but all in all, I didn't think it was bad. I would probably vote to keep.
I would vote to keep as well. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I really, we thought it was funny with the girls They have like I guess it's a birthday party, I believe.
Yeah.
And when they get on there, they're all like dressed in these gowns and stuff, but you can tell that clearly they are ripping Disney off 100% by having one look like Ariel and one, so definitely a lot of Disney puns in that. David Howard Thornton, again, does not speak very much of a mute actor. I mean, he doesn't speak as Terrifier either. Every time he kills someone, he's just kind of like, and just kind of laughs about it. But definitely different. That's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think we both enjoyed it enough to keep it. So, next up, The Curse of Wolf Mountain. This DVD from, I believe it's Uncorked Entertainment. It has a little bit of everybody in it. It's got Danny Trejo. It also has Tobin Bell. And, oh man, what is the comedian? Matt Rife. Matt Rife is actually in this.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's not very good. Not a very good actor. Definitely more of a comedian. He plays like the extremely stupid brother-in-law or whatever. He's dating this girl and he plays extremely stupid. Another one, I hit this one the 30-minute rule. It was extremely slow. Didn't have a lot going for it. Some of these uncorks are really good, some are not. This one has to fall for me under the category of not, and vote to sell. I didn't even, like I said, didn't even watch all of it. For me, have to vote to sell. Next up was a McKay's pickup here. This is The Dead Girl in Apartment 3. This is another one, just kind of a ghost story, but one that I just didn't really care for, like the satanic symbols on the floor and all that kind of stuff. Really slow. This is an atmospheric movie is the best way to describe this one. I'm fine with atmospheric movies for the most part, but this one for me, I think being all atmosphere, a low budget being from Wild Eye, it was just missing something. I actually did finish this one, watched it on Tubi, but overall didn't love it. Vote to sell.
Alright, up next is Gemini Man. It was one that we watched while we were at the beach one night. I have to say I was surprised by this one. I am not a huge Will Smith fan, but I had heard a lot of good things about this movie, and we did watch it all the way through. Again, it was long, but I will say, really for me, the action kept it going good enough for me. The only problem that I really saw, and the storyline was great, but there's a lot of AI. Like his younger version of himself is an AI generated person, and even though it looks exactly like he did when he was back in his 20s, I don't know. There was times you could definitely tell it was AI. There were times not so much, depending on how close they were in frame. But that was probably honestly the biggest downfall for me watching it. It looked more like a video game in some scenes than the actual movie.
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed the story of this one, though. So Will Smith is like a CIA agent or whatever, and he goes on all these special missions, and he's close to retiring. And come to find out, this guy starts coming after him to kill him. And it's basically Will Smith in his 20s, and it's because they call him the Gemini, the Gemini experiment. And basically what it is they always knew Will Smith is such a fantastic agent. They always knew there would come a time for him to retire, and they don't like that. And so they need an agent like him, so they basically cloned him. And I was really kind of struggling with this one about watching it, and man, I enjoyed it too. I thought it was really good. So definitely, for me, vote to keep.
Agreed.
So you'll notice kind of a theme with some of these. Gemini Man is the first one, I think. These predate our channel, if that makes sense. We started this channel about a year ago, a little over a year ago maybe, and some of these films, a lot of them that me and Lee watched especially, you guys have not seen in the collection updates, and that's because we've had these on the shelf so long they predate our channel. So when we get into some of these, if you're like, I didn't see them unbox that, ever on their channel. If you watch all of our videos, that's kind of why we actually have a lot that predates, just because we are so backlogged on watching stuff.
You don't even want to know how many movies we have in this house. It's ridiculous.
I have a lot less than some, but yes, we have more than others, so it is what it is. Maybe that'll be a video. Maybe we need to do a count and show. I don't know. Anyways, keep going here. Bloody axe wound. Yeah. So this one is this one's kind of hard to explain. Basically, you have this guy, and he is like your Jason Voorhees. He dies in a movie, and he always comes back. But basically, he owns this video store. And he films his killings, and that's kind of how he releases them. And then if he dies, he's able to come back from the grave. And all these years later, his daughter is like, look, Dad, you're not able to do what you once were. It's time for me to step in. I want to be the killer now. And he kind of allows her to do so afterwards. But the thing is, he's just ruthless. He'll kill anybody. She's very compassionate. She winds up finding a girl that she actually really likes more, like a love relationship kind of. And the dad kind of sees this and he's like, I can't trust you to do this. And he starts trying to kind of go and kill everyone. And it's really that struggle with like, I found where I belong. I found that I have friends. I no longer live this sheltered life under your protection anymore. And it's just the difference in that. Overall, I actually enjoyed this one. It's got some comedy in it. It's got some decent gore. Again, much like Screamboat, this is not going to be a film for everybody. But I think enough people out there will enjoy it. I thought it was fine for what it was. It's a Shudder film. So if you've got the Shudder streaming service, you might want to check this out on there. But for me, going to be a vote to keep. And then this one here, Crimes of the Future. Yeah, this one's extremely weird. I don't even know how to give the story of this one. Basically, what I did with this is I put it in. I watched about 10 minutes of it before breakfast one morning at the beach. It was extremely weird, and I really wasn't following what was going along. I've heard a lot about this movie being extremely weird and one that a lot of people don't like. So I left it going while we ate breakfast, and when I came back, it was like they were in these pods and they were waking up. I don't know, it was extremely weird. I'm not the biggest Cronenberg fan to begin with. So, kind of when I went to breakfast and I skipped 30 minutes of the film and I came back and I still wasn't really, enjoying what I was seeing. I knew at that point, for me, it was going to be a vote to sell. So I actually didn't watch very much of this one at all. Some of those movies you can just kind of tell, though, like, that's not going to be for me. This was one vote to sell.
All right, so next up we have The Core. Again, what is her name?
Hilary Swank?
Yes, Hilary Swank. I'm not a space person, so I didn't think I would like it, actually. But again, it had a very good storyline, very well written, where you could understand everything. It was, for me, a very emotional film, but I get emotional in the silliest films ever. So it was about them, obviously, going to save the Earth's core. And, how were they going to do that in a matter of weeks instead of, I think the original engineer said it was going to take like
10 to 15 years.
Yeah, to build something that would be able to withstand all the heat and pressure from going to the core. But, they actually did get something, and I think there was 4 of them starting off, or was it 5?
5, I do believe.
Okay, so 5 of them.
That could be wrong.
And, I'm not going to spoil anything, but, I think it's safe to say they don't all survive. So, it was a very touch and go thing. And as, they were given direct orders from, people in the government to abort the mission, and they were determined to still get to the core and fulfill their mission. So definitely a heartwarming story, but again, enough action to keep you interested if you're an action lover.
Yeah, this is another one we watched. We started this one at the beach, and we actually, the story, it's an hour and 34 minutes, or 134 minutes, so over 2 hours long. It's a bit long in the tooth at the very beginning. It needed that to explain the story, but we actually had this in the vote to sell pile. Like, we both weren't really into it. We got home and we finished it up, and once we finished it, it really painted the broad scope picture, and it was like, that's not a bad movie, and you kind of understand why the beginning is so long in the tooth. But yeah, this one's really good. A lot of surprises in this one. When you watch movies like this, I compare this to movies like Armageddon, stuff like that, and you think it's going to be, like Lee said, not to spoil anything, but you think you're going to get this happy ending, and it's somewhat happy, but there's a lot that happens in this, and you're like, wow, like, I can't believe that they would do that. So actually a really good film. I enjoyed it. Vote to keep. Next up for me is Curse of the Puppet Master. So I've been going through these Puppet Master films slowly but surely, and finally got to this one. This is kind of a standalone Puppet Master film. It doesn't really link to any of the others. So you have what I consider like the first original 5, which are all really pretty decent. I believe this one's number 6. Or maybe this one's number 7, and then you've got like the retro Puppet Master, and that's where the series really starts taking a turn for me. I don't care much for retro Puppet Master. I didn't care much for this one. It was just kind of weird. I don't know. A lot of people say that they kind of enjoy this one. They kind of enjoy the standalone aspect of it. I really didn't, and the story just didn't do it for me. Puppet movies like this are hard for me to get behind anyways. Like I said, I did enjoy the first 5 Puppet Masters. After that, wasn't so much a fan, so this one for me, vote to sell. Next up here, Baghead. So I will give a disclaimer and say this is not a bad film. So Baghead is from Shudder as well. Essentially what it is, this woman's father passes away when she goes and she inherits like his bar, and she finds this, basically it's a human with a bag over their head, and it basically will it will turn into the person, a deceased person that you would like to speak to, but only for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, basically the person, the demon or whatever it is, basically takes back over, and it's trying to escape. It's trying to get out. The thing with this movie, while it wasn't bad, this is a lot like the film. I think it's Bag of Lies, if I'm not mistaken. Bag of Lies from Dread Central. It's a lot like that movie. I have already voted to keep that movie into the collection, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's actually a review for that up on the channel. So considering I already have that one in the collection, this one to me didn't do that much different. It was kind of the same. The creature took a little bit of a different form, but it wasn't different enough. I didn't feel like this one was done even as well. So for me, unfortunately, vote to sell this one as well.
Look at you. That was the main guy, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so next up was Stepfather 2 with Terry O'Quinn. He was also in the original Stepfather movie that we had watched. I think we went over it not too terribly long ago.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple episodes back.
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 episodes.
Another really good movie. I was pleasantly surprised, and usually remakes are not that good. Now, I will not say it surpassed the first one. I definitely think the first one is better.
It's not a remake, it's a sequel.
Well, yeah, sequel. But he definitely was not, he was clever in this one, but I don't think he was as clever as he was in the first one. Definitely made some mistakes, and but I mean, again, the premise of it was obviously him escaping from the psychiatric hospital he'd been placed in, because he didn't actually die in the first one. He was shot and injured, but he didn't die. So he was placed in a psychiatric hospital. So he has to, get past the guards and make his doctor think that he is cured and all better, and not have it anymore. I don't even know what you would call those thoughts, I guess.
Thoughts of,
violence or however you want to put it. But he definitely does a good job of escaping in the beginning, I will say that. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I enjoy this one, but yeah, like she said, he's definitely not as clever, and I think the thing that made part 1 with him work so well, it was a deep dive into his insanity. It was a look of, he had done this so many times, he no longer knew who he was. This one, he knows exactly who he is, the whole movie, and when he escapes, he becomes a psychiatrist, so he's kind of preying off of these women, and trying to find him basically a new bride, and he does, and he's trying to start this new family, only she's a lot more smart and savvy to his ways, and kind of catches on a lot faster. But yeah, overall, a really fun film. I really wish this had a Blu-ray release, but it doesn't. You don't always get what you want. So Stepfather 2, though, definitely for me, vote to keep.
Okay.
All right, next up, another Shudder film here. So Little Bits, or Little Bites, I'm sorry. This one's actually okay. So this woman basically has this vampire locked in her basement, and she has sent her daughter away to live with her mother because that's what the vampire wants. He wants the daughter. And basically the vampire must feed, and so she allows him to take little bites of her to basically feed to stay alive. He's like a demon that has a hold of her. I mean, again, the story's okay. She basically winds up bargaining and winds up bringing some people into the home that she doesn't really care for, and that's kind of her bargaining chip. The thing with it is, though, I mean, I understand, like, but he can't come out. He's like in the basement. He never really comes out of the basement. So, like, if that's the case, why not just sell your house and move and get away from him while you're sending your daughter away in the whole 9 yards? I don't know. Just for me, didn't really hit home. Didn't love it. So, for me, vote to sell. Alright, next up, Deep in the Darkness. So this is a Scream Factory release from Chiller Films. I usually really enjoy the Chiller films. This one, again, one that I just didn't love. The first few minutes, the first like 30 minutes of it is what I watched, and I just didn't love it. It's basically this doctor is uprooting his family, and they are moving. They have bought a new practice in a very small town, and I think he's kind of he gets asked to like go to lunch with his neighbor, and when he goes over there, the neighbor's like, oh, my wife's asleep, you'll have to come back to meet her. But yeah, like he goes to the restroom and she's like standing in the bedroom because he has to go through the bedroom to get to the restroom, and when he comes out, she's standing there and like her mouth is all deformed, and she's like, you can't help me. I don't know, for me in the first 30 minutes, it never really kicked up into that next gear. Maybe if I gave this one another chance, it would. But again, the collection's getting pretty full. And for movies, again, that don't hold my attention in the first 30 minutes, it's just time to let them go. So for this one, for me, vote to sell.
Alright, next we have King Arthur. With Charlie Hunnam and Jude Law. We both really like Jude Law, and I think I probably enjoyed this movie a little more than Justin did, actually. It was a little strange, not gonna lie. Obviously set back in the, I would say, probably 1800s,
probably medieval times, we'll call it, with the
so basically in the very beginning of this movie, you figure out that Jude Law's corrupt. He basically has a brother that is the king, and he wants that power. What he doesn't understand is that the power that the king has is is from a sword, and he's the only one that can basically activate the powers of that sword. So he ultimately kills his brother in the first 5 minutes of the movie, literally, and as a result, his wife, the king's wife, dies, and the boy is put on a boat. Basically, that's the last thing he does, and pushes him off for him to go live a normal life so that he doesn't get killed. So what Jude Law didn't understand was that when he killed his brother, he didn't get the powers of the sword. The son did. So all these years later, his son has learned to live on the streets and doesn't even know who he is. And so he goes looking. He realizes that he has to find his nephew in order to release these powers. And I think he still thinks that if he kills the son of the original king, that he will obtain these powers of the sword. Now, whether that would have ever happened or not, I don't know. But so basically the movie is based on that, and the son, even once he does realize who he is, he doesn't really want any part of it. So the whole movie is a battle and a struggle of power, really. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike this one. Again, another one that at an hour 126 minutes, looking here at the back, a little long for me. There's another movie that is a lot like this that we'll go over here in just a little bit that I actually enjoyed more. I did not dislike this one, though. I thought Jude Law and Charlie Hunnam both did fantastic jobs in this. This is one that I do remember getting slammed at the box office when it opened. A lot of people didn't really care for this one. Watching it, all these years later after its release, it wasn't bad. I don't know that I would ever necessarily rewatch it again, but just because of that, I mean, it's definitely one I would still vote to keep and add it to the collection. Just because, man, it wasn't a bad movie, and it may be one at one point we pull back off to rewatch. I don't know, but I mean, let's be honest, we don't rewatch hardly anything down here, so that's not really a reason. Not maybe. Yeah, if it might not get rewatched, is not a reason not to keep it. Again, when you build a physical media collection, you want stuff that you enjoyed. This one wasn't bad. Vote to keep.
Okay.
Next up, so when I did an order back beginning of the year for convention stock from MVD, they had pretty much the entire Cauldron line on sale. I'd already bought Ratman from whatever convention we went to with Carl, Horror Hound, last September. I bought Ratman at the Diabolic booth. And when I got it, I realized that the spines are numbered. And so me being a completionist, I was like, let me try to get that whole line. We'll see if I like them. And so I actually ordered all of them to sell at the conventions. I got like 2 copies of each. But then I kept one. I was like, if I don't like them, we'll sell them off. And I have to say, getting 2 copies, these suck. Cauldron is not a good. I do not care much for Cauldron. I do like their Houses of Doom box set that they released. I liked Ratman, but there's very few of these that we're going to go over that I care anything about. Actually, out of I think I've got 5. I think there's only 1. So, Convoy Busters. Yeah. This is like a clip show. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, another one I only gave about 20 minutes into watching. It's like it's nighttime and there's a detective and he's looking at this, and then the next thing you know, it's the middle of the day and he's talking to someone about his findings in the middle from last night's crime scene. He doesn't show him really finding anything at the crime scene. It doesn't give any backstory as to who he's going to talk to. It's a clip show, and I didn't care for it very much. 1978, so a lot of movies. Again, I've said it before on the channel, I'm more of an 80s guy. You get into like 80, 81, 82, I like pretty much anything from that. 70s for me, just the aesthetic and everything, it's a hard sell. This one was an extremely hard sell. Didn't like it. Vote to sell that one. Same thing with this one, Top Line. Now, this one is from 1988. The thing with this is it was just a crappy movie. Didn't care much for this one. I believe this one has an alternate title of the Alien Terminator. And the transfer on this one is crap. The audio is crap. This overall is just not a very good release. And another one that it just kind of jumps from one thing to the next. The story's kind of hard to follow. It's got a really bad English dub. Another one I gave about 30 minutes. Didn't give a whole lot of time to this one because, again, it didn't grab my attention. Vote to sell.
Alright, so this one was actually a double feature. Miami Vice and Inside Man. I'll be honest, Miami Vice we put in, I used to love the show. Not impressed. It was definitely one we did not finish.
We finished it.
Miami Vice?
We finished it. Remember she wound up finding out that he was part of the squad and he wound up sending her off. She never got in trouble. The Oriental girl.
Right. Yeah.
We finished it. Lee.
That's how memorable it was.
I think Lee liked it more than me. I was ready to turn it off, but Lee, when we get to these kinds of movies, she is all about, because she likes the crime shows, so she's all about, once you get that story, she wants to see how it ends, and I get that. So we did finish it, but yeah, Miami Vice to me sucked. I didn't think that Jamie Foxx was very good in it.
Definitely not his best performance.
Not anywhere even close. Colin Farrell was fine, but again, nowhere near what he would become years later with like the Penguin. Like, good God, his performance in that is phenomenal. So, just not a good one.
Yeah. And then Inside Man, to be honest, I don't really remember a lot about it either.
No. So Inside Man was the bank robbery. You had
It was just okay.
Inside Man, again, at the end, like, I thought we were going to have this really cool payoff, and it wasn't really anything. We won't spoil the ending if you haven't seen it, if you're a Denzel fan, and maybe you just haven't watched this, even though it's 20 years old at this point.
And we love Denzel Washington.
Yep.
Love him in his movies.
Yep.
But it was, I don't know. Nothing to rave about for sure.
No, sure wasn't. These are very much, especially Inside Man, very low action, very high story. Miami Vice, kind of the same way, very low, not as much action as, in the original. They're jumping boats and blowing stuff up. And again, it was a weekly episodic television, and this is an over 2-hour movie. And for me, just neither one of them worked. So,
agreed.
Definitely vote to sell on that one.
Wow. Okay, I agree.
All right, next up, The Last Match from Cauldron Film again. Another one I didn't really care for. Basically, you have this football player, and his daughter is in a foreign country with her boyfriend. They get ready to get on the plane to come back, and this drug runner puts cocaine in her bag. She is basically detained by the police. She is thrown into prison there, and the boyfriend winds up running away and calling the dad. And when the dad gets over, the dad gets the first flight out. He's there to get his daughter, and basically the government's just like, she was found with cocaine in her bag. There's nothing we can do. She will be tried, and if found guilty, she will spend 5 to 15 years in prison here. And basically, as a young woman in a prison over there, she is basically, it doesn't show anything, but they allude to the fact that she will be used as a personal, we'll call it a personal assistant. You guys can read between the lines there. To all of the prison guards and stuff. And so basically what happens, her dad can't seem to get any help inside the country, so they call the football team, and they wind up running guns and getting all these guns and coming over there and blowing everything up and trying to free her. Again, really unrealistic, one that it's like, why in the hell does the football team have to come rescue her? And again, I actually made it through this one, but at 94 minutes, your first probably hour has no action whatsoever. One that I kept wanting to see it through because I thought it would get better. The trailer for this one makes it look like it's explosions and everything, and it's not. For me, vote to sell. Didn't like that one. American Rickshaw, another Cauldron film. Now this one I actually did enjoy. For the most part. The ending is extremely weird. But this one, basically, an American rickshaw driver, the little carts that have a man that picks up the 2 poles and runs you where you want to go. I didn't know what that was called until I watched this film. But basically, he works for this American rickshaw, and he picks up this girl, and she takes him back to a boat. And they start having relations, and little do they know there is a guy in the closet filming them. And basically they film these tapes and they sell them. And so he winds up catching the guy, and he beats him up. And he runs away, and he grabs what he thinks is his tape. But he grabs the wrong tape. And basically you find out that the guy that was filming it is this huge preacher's son. And so there's a whole backstory with that. But basically when he goes back to get his tape, he goes back to the boat to get the tape. The guy's dead, and he is framed for the murder. So it's about him going through town trying to find this girl that he had these relations with to help him, because she's now been asked by the police, and she's lying, saying that she knows that he killed him. Overall, pretty decent story. The ending is extremely weird. Does have Donald Pleasance in it, but for me, I would vote to keep this one. Not a movie that I would normally vote to keep, but it wasn't terrible. And like I said, I did like the first, out of 96 minutes, I probably really enjoyed the first 80. That last little 16-minute bit, there's a whole part with Donald Pleasance turning into this hog right here on the front, like this boar. That was kind of weird. Didn't really understand that. We were getting dressed and getting ready to go down to the beach, and I was just trying to finish this one up. So I probably need to go back and try to rewatch the ending of this. Maybe I would understand it a little bit more. But it is what it is. American Rickshaw, vote to keep.
All right, the next one is called The Women. So let me preface this by saying, obviously, this is not Justin's kind of movie.
But I watched it for the most part.
You were in and out, but yeah, you did start it and finish it. So just the lineup of the you can imagine it's kind of like the Girls Trip movie that came out several years ago. It's got Meg Ryan, Annette Bening, Eva Mendes, Deborah Messing, Jada Pinkett Smith, Bette Midler, Candice Bergen. So you can imagine the movie. And I'm not actually a huge Meg Ryan fan, even though she is probably the lead role in this movie. But just to preface it, her husband is actually never seen in the movie. They have phone calls. but you never hear his voice. He's an imaginary character, I guess, that she's married to in the movie. But he is a lawyer, I believe, if I remember correctly, and is super busy, has a lot of caseloads, and so they live out outside of a major city. I think it's New York. And he has an apartment in the city that he stays at quite a bit because he's so busy. Well, long story short, Eva Mendes is his mistress, and her friends find this out just through various random ways, going to a nail salon and going to I think it's Saks Fifth Avenue that they go to, and Eva Mendes is she sells perfume. And so long story short, that's where he met her. He was going to buy Meg Ryan some perfume, and he met Eva Mendes, and they start having an affair. And so, the rest of the clan is her friends. So they're all, pretty well-to-do and make good money and have good careers. And they end up finding out, Meg Ryan has found out about it. She doesn't know that her friends already knew. So she's devastated when she finds that out. And long story short, it just gets funnier and funnier. There are some very serious pieces in here. Meg Ryan does have a daughter that is going through, she's just starting to be a teenager. So she takes it kind of rough. And of course she wants a divorce. But it's a really, really good storyline, a good movie, just a good, fun girls movie. If your husband doesn't like chick flicks, that it might not be the one to watch. But I did enjoy it, so.
My opinion on this one won't really matter. I mean, if she wants to keep it, that's perfectly fine. It was not a bad movie. For me, it's just a story about redemption and forgiveness, basically. Finding out if love is true or not, really, I guess, would be the big thing. It does have some pretty funny moments in it, just girl humor and stuff, but you can still find humor in it, even as a guy. For me, I'm actually the one who brought it up. There was like one single line in this, and I could kind of see how the story was going, and I'd actually watched Girls Trip, and I was like, this is a precursor to Girls Trip. Like, this was made, I think we figured it like 10 years before. To me, with like Queen Latifah and everyone that's in Girls Trip, it is a lot funnier of a movie.
Agreed.
This one is the more serious counterpart, but it was not a bad movie for what it was. I won't even vote on this one. What Leigh votes will do.
I'm torn. I mean, the only reason I would want to keep it is because it is funny, but at the same time, I'll probably never watch it again because, we just don't have time to rewatch stuff. So
We don't, but if you want to keep it, that's fine. So your vote is what we'll do.
No, just sell.
Okay, well, vote sell.
I could make those tough choices, unlike some people.
We'll probably wind up adding that one to the collection just because Leigh, eventually when we do get caught up, we may. Anyways, Sator here is the next one from Cauldron. Another one, this is only 85 minutes from 2019. I gave this one about 30 minutes. There was very little dialogue. Basically there's a guy living in a forest, and he's out here looking for this demon known as Sator. And that's pretty much all I got out of the story. Again, there's very little dialogue in this. It jumps back and forth between present and previous times. Didn't care for this one that much. Vote to sell. Next up, Strangers, Chapter 1. Everybody hates on this movie. They say that it sucks. They say it's one of the worst horror films they ever saw. I couldn't disagree more. I do not think this is a great film by any means, but I did not dislike this. Again, one thing that I'm a really big proponent on in horror, and I've said it before in our weekly episodes and everything else, quit freaking comparing everything to the original, because you will be let down every time. The Strangers Part 1 with, is it Liv Morgan? Or not Liv, no, not Liv, what is her name? Steven Tyler's daughter.
Liz
Morgan. Okay, Liz Tyler. Whatever her name is. Hell, I don't know. Anyways, that one is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. As far as a horror movie goes, nothing really scares me. Those assholes knocking on that door in those masks and then being like, why are you doing this? And then being like, because you were the only ones home. That's a line that like sends chills down your spine. Like, that's not, it's just like, ooh. It's pretty crazy. I enjoy the hell out of The Strangers, and it's actually one Leigh will not watch. This one going in, they told everybody. It's called Chapter 1 for a reason, because this is meant to be a trilogy. There's going to be a lot of unanswered questions. There's going to be a lot of things that don't make sense and don't add up. You have to give it time. You have to see it through. When part 3 comes out, if you still think that this is a crappy film and you think that the trilogy's trash, then that's fine. But at this point, I don't know how people watch this knowing that there's still 2 more films to come and think that this is just a bad film overall. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great. I'm not sitting here acting like it's the best movie I've ever seen. But I just don't see the hate for it. Basically this couple is driving. They have a car that breaks down. Does it really break down, or do the townspeople make it break down? I don't know. That's a question that, again, never really gets answered. But they wind up staying at an Airbnb in the middle of the woods, and these people come out with their masks and basically try to kill them. And I mean, it's as simplistic as that. So again, if we would do a lot better, I feel like if we didn't compare to the original. Strangers Chapter 1 for me, most definitely a vote to keep, though. I didn't think it was terrible.
All right, so up next we have Hellboy. We actually watched this with Ava. She had been wanting to watch a movie, and we were trying to find something she could watch that I actually had never seen it. He had, I think, some time ago. So, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to try to explain this movie. I'm going to let him do that, because it's a little weird in the very beginning for me. But overall, it was a good movie, and I enjoyed it. And Ava liked it. She actually stuck it out.
Yeah, so Hellboy, I mean, to be honest, Hellboy was they found him in the middle, during like the Nazi days, I guess, kind of. Yeah. He's not like a made creature. He was already there. And basically they've hid him in the city all these years later, and he's like a crime fighter, kind of thing, but no one really knows that he exists. The military kind of brings him in for special work, and it's just kind of the story of that. He doesn't really fit in. He's trying to find, he likes this girl that she kind of has some special powers of her own. He doesn't really fit in, and it's about his kind of struggle with that. And there's also this guy that kind of comes back and is basically trying to kill him. Hellboy is a lot. It's a lot to explain. That's kind of a simplistic, missing a whole lot of information kind of explanation. But overall, I mean, I do enjoy it. It's not one that you're ever going to rewatch very often, but it's a good film for what it is. So for me, vote to keep. Alright, next up, I watched this one alone, although Leigh has seen it before, I do believe. I had seen it before. It was just a rebuy, but that's Little Nicky. So basically, Nicky is the devil's son, and he basically has no want whatsoever to take over his father's position in hell. And so it's about his trials and tribulations through life. It's probably one of the... so this is one of the last... How do I put this? Adam Sandler had a string of really good movies, like Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore, all that stuff. This came at the very end of that string and was not well received. It was not one of his better films. He would go on after this to do a lot of stuff that really sucked, like in a row, like Jack and Jill was bad. He did several things. So this was kind of the start to that, I feel like. But overall, I find enjoyment out of this. I don't know why. I always have. It's just stupid. Like his whole demeanor, like the way that he speaks and everything. I just think it's funny. For me personally, Little Nicky going to be a vote to keep. Next up, this is another one of those full moon DVDs from when I was a kid. This is Teenage Space Vampires. So this one's actually pretty good too. This kid, there's like this big light power outage, the power surge that kind of goes on at night, and it basically what it is this space vampire that comes down. He starts basically building an army of young teens from the local high school, along with other people from around the town, and basically they're looking for this big jewel and trying to send the earth into a constant state of darkness and kind of rule the world. And it's all up to Billy, the main character of this, who he doesn't fit in at school. He he's a huge horror buff and all this. It's all kind of up to him to kind of save the world. I mean, it's stupid. It's quirky. It's PG for young kids. This is definitely like if you're like 10 to 15, you're probably going to find more enjoyment out of this. But for me, just another nostalgic film. Vote to keep. Add it to the Full Moon collection.
All right, so Hard Eyes. That is one that we didn't rewatch. We watched it in the theater. Back for Valentine's Day. It was actually one of the better movies that, I don't know how to put it. There's a lot of pieces and parts in this movie that try to be a lot of things, like horror, drama, comedy, rom-com, there's a lot of pieces and parts to this movie, but they actually really pulled it off well. And I would definitely watch it again. Actually, I kind of want to watch it again. It was that good. But these two people meet, and they, are pretty much complete strangers, except they realize later that day that they actually are going to be working together for the summer. He tries to be nice, and she just kind of pushes him off, for lack of a better term, and doesn't really... I don't know, I guess have any desire to have any kind of romantic relationship. And I think he honestly in the beginning just wanted to be friends with her. I don't even think he was trying to be romantic, really. And their night turns into a complete night of horror. She sees an ex-boyfriend and that she wants to make jealous, and so she basically pulls this guy in for a kiss when they're trying to get a cab. And then immediately pushes him away as soon as the ex-boyfriend leaves. And that is actually why they are chosen to be stalked by this hard-eyes killer. So that's kind of how it prefaces and how they their night starts. So
yeah, really good twist at the end. Like she said, it tries to be a lot of different things, and actually one of the only films that I won't say the only films, one of the most recent films I will see that I've seen that actually pulls it off. Super enjoyable, and definitely going to be a vote to keep.
Yeah.
Scoot that stack down just a little bit. So next up here we do have, this is a double feature from Vinegar Syndrome. This is Battle for the Lost Planet and Mutant War. Again, this was basically, I was trying to hit a free shipping threshold because the Tammy and the T-Rex that I got, which I didn't even add to this, which I should have, it just got put on the shelf. Everyone knew, I was looking for that for a while. So, but this was like $16. I was just trying to find something to get to that free shipping threshold, just because if you can buy another movie, that's just how I think. But when I watched this, I didn't care for either one of these. 30 minutes into both, just wasn't my kind of thing. They're very sci-fi. They're not really horror. They're 80s, so the effects are not very good. They're low budget, so the effects are not very good. There's just not a whole lot to give on these. There's not a whole lot to kind of get into and give synopsises up, because again, I didn't watch all of them. So for me, this one, vote to sell. Next up, Bone Sickness. This is from Saturn's Core. I typically hate all the Saturn's Core that I get. I get drug in by artwork, and 9 times out of 10 the artwork's cool and the movie sucks. These are all Saturn's Core specializes in shot on video films, so super low budget SOV stuff from the 80s and 90s. I picked this one up. I figured it would be the same way. I was like, screw it, I'll sell it off. But I actually really enjoyed this one. Basically, this guy has this sickness and it is killing him, and his best friend comes up with this idea. He reads in a book that if they basically take the bones of dead people and ground them up, it can maybe save him, and instead they wind up raising some of the dead. For this to be low budget and shot on video, this has some of the greatest gore effects I've seen in any movie, in any shot on video film. I actually will probably keep this just on the gore effects alone. The story, it's a shot on video film. The acting's poor. The video quality is the complete shits. But I don't know. There was something about this one that I did enjoy. So Bone Sickness, I'm going to have to vote to keep.
All right, next we have Old Habits Die Hard. This is definitely a low budget one. It's got Kane Hodder in it, and it's from, I don't even know how old this is.
2009.
Okay. It is not great, to say the least. So,
picked this one up because it was a Ben Dixon film. It stars his wife Stacey Dixon, like she said, Kane Hodder. It also has Jim O'Rear in it. Yeah, I mean, basically, this family, they own a mortuary. They basically they kill people to fuel their own mortuary business, and I'm not sure if we have any cannibalism in there or not. I kind of felt, I'm not real sure. They kind of allude to it, but they never really.
Yeah.
Again, we didn't finish this one.
I didn't finish it. Yeah.
Stacey Dixon's character, she wants more out of life, so she moves off. She gets away from the family business. We see Kane Hodder and Jim O'Rear. They're kind of struggling, and so all these years later, she kind of is roped back into the family business and winds up coming home. I don't know. This one didn't really connect on very much for me. I didn't love it. So
definitely agree.
yeah, vote to sell that one. Next up, The Mysterious Museum. This is from Full Moon again, another one of those nostalgic 90s kids DVDs. But I love this one. This is, I remember legit going to Movie World in Murray, Kentucky, and I rented this one. We would go every 2 weeks, and I think I rented this at least once a month for probably a year. I love this film. It's basically this guy. It's a brother and his two sisters. They go to the museum, and they basically get sucked into this painting during a storm, and basically they go back into the medieval times, and they are in a war between two magicians. One is trying to find this stone. They call it the Stone of Polaris. He's trying to find it basically to do all bad, and you have this other kind of magician who has hid the stone, and they kind of put the brother through all these kind of trials and skill tests and stuff. And basically when he winds up, the only way he can get home is to find the jewel himself. And so you have him and this other magician kind of fighting over it the whole film. Overall, I enjoy this one. This is one of my most nostalgic films from when I was a child out of this line. Going to be a vote to keep for me. Next up, this one here, Hell Breeder. So this film is, I don't even know. Again, another one I watched about 10. I watched probably less than 30 of this one. I probably watched more like 15 or 20. So the clown here, if you can see that in the axe, I'm not sure. But the clown is actually in the film. But this has, it's like, I thought this was like a regular budgeted film. This is relatively low budget. It has this extremely weird, like, orange yellow film overlay over the entire film. It's got poor acting, and the story didn't make sense worth a shit, and it's British. I didn't know that either. I thought this was an American film. I like a lot of British films, so there's nothing wrong with that. But again, you just kind of tie all of that together. I did not care for this one. I can't give much of a synopsis because I didn't watch very much of it. I know a lot of other people, after I bought this and I was watching some reviews, a lot of other people said this was pretty bad too. So I'm not alone on that one. Hellbreeder for me has to be a vote to sell.
Alright, so next up is Robin Hood. Again, it has Jamie Foxx too, doesn't it? Yeah. And I don't know who that.
He would be Taron Egerton.
Yeah, Taron Egerton, Jamie Foxx, and it has Jamie Dornan in it too, if you have ever watched 50 Shades. Actually, I really liked this one. And again, I'm not much on these kind of movies, but it was really good, and they played really well together. Jamie Foxx and the Robin Hood, Taron Egerton, they did a really good job with each other, playing off of each other, and their characters really built well off of each other. So basically, Robin Hood is chosen to go to war, so he has to leave behind the love of his life, and I really don't remember if it said how many years later he went back to the village. But obviously the people in charge of the city and the sheriff, and they're all corrupt at this point, and they're taking from the townspeople and taking their money instead of them being able to thrive and build. So he figures that out rather quickly, and him and Jamie Foxx kind of form a team to get those riches back to the people, and so they can take back what's theirs. So definitely more of like a revenge thing. but he's also trying to win back the love of his life. So, which she ends up being with Jamie Dornan, which is, I don't remember what role he played. He wasn't the sheriff. He was more like
he was just he was just a worker within the town. He didn't really play any real big role. He just always sided.
Kind of relied on him for I don't know. I think it was more like accounting advice or
maybe he just always sided with the sheriff of Nottingham. He never really saw that the sheriff was corrupt or bad, even though everybody around him could.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Overall, really good film. The story of it was a little bit of a different take on Robin Hood, but still one that all in all I felt like fit it. Another one I felt like could have been a little shorter, but hey, it is what it is. I still enjoyed it. Vote to keep. Next up, double feature here. This is Dracula 2000 and Dracula 2 Ascension. So Dracula 2000, after watching it, I kind of wish I had waited for Leigh on that one. I think she actually would have enjoyed it, to be honest. So it's a much different take on Dracula. Basically, you have Van Helsing. He has captured Dracula, and basically he keeps him in this coffin, but he basically siphons off this blood, and he's basically injecting it into himself to stay alive. And he kind of gets robbed, and these people go in and they rob him, and they think that he just has all this money, but instead what they wind up robbing is Dracula himself, and he winds up being unleashed onto the world. Dracula, I actually had to look it up. I thought, man, that guy looks familiar. He was actually played by Gerard Butler. Really? Like a really young Gerard Butler. It didn't even hardly look like him. This movie, I love the first sequence when they go to rob the crypt, like those first couple kill scenes, absolutely amazing. The story on this one is okay. If this was like a standalone Blu-ray, it would probably be getting put in the vote to keep pile. However, we do have Dracula 2 down here, and I did not care for it as much. It just didn't make a lot of sense. The acting wasn't nearly as good. I believe it was a straight-to-video kind of film. It didn't even go to theaters. I did not care for it as much because it is a double feature. If you don't like both the films, my kind of rule is you got to sell them. So for this one, it's going to be a vote to sell. I may try to look for Dracula 2000. I know Scream Factory did like a standalone Blu-ray of it. If I can find it cheap during like a Scream Factory sale, I may snag it to add it to the collection. But for this one, the double feature, it just didn't hold enough for me with part 2 to keep, so vote to sell.
So I'm taking it Gerard Butler was not in part 2.
No, Gerard Butler is not in part 2. No. Next up, Blood Diner. Not really much of a synopsis to give for this one either. This is just an extremely stupid film. If you are into that kind of stuff, you're going to like this. Basically, these guys, these two brothers, they own a diner, and they basically kill a lot of people, and they are trying to resurrect a demon or a god or whatever, and they are doing it with the advice of their uncle, who is a brain inside of a jar. This is nothing but slapstick. It is dumb. Leigh would not have enjoyed this one, so definitely one I'm glad I watched on my own. I don't know. I'm going to vote to keep this one. It's, again, not one I'll probably hardly ever rewatch, but being of the Vestron line, being a numbered spine, we'll keep it for now. I don't know. I may rewatch it at some point. Yeah, there's not really much. A lot of people enjoy this film. It was just okay for me, but for right now, I will vote to keep. That's Blood Diner.
Alright, so next up we have Nighthawks. I'm going to be honest, I can't tell you a lot about this other than it has a very, very young Sylvester Stallone in it. We did not finish this. I don't even know that we made it 20 minutes into this. We were not at all into this. So, I don't know if you know a good synopsis, but I mean, we really didn't watch enough of it to...
No, like Sylvester Stallone's character is kind of like a renegade cop or whatever, and then you have Rutger Hauer, who is like, he's killing some people, and then all of a sudden he decides he's going to come to America, and he has like a facelift, and the beginning of the movie is not Rutger Hauer, it's like some other guy, but then all of a sudden we look like Rutger Hauer after this facial deal. I don't know, extremely weird. I feel like this tried to be a lot of different things maybe before its time, kind of like a face-off or something. It didn't really work. This is an older film. I believe this was from the 70s. And again, I mean, if it's from the 70s, I don't enjoy it as much as the 80s. Just the aesthetic. And I don't know, just something about this one didn't get off the ground for us. Vote to sell.
Okay. You watched this one without me?
Huh. I mean, you can watch it. I didn't make it but about 20 minutes into it. So.
Okay.
You don't ever tell me when you want to watch something specifically. So yeah, you get stuff watched with that.
So when I start going through the pile and telling him what he can't watch when I'm not there.
Yes, exactly. So this is Hunted. Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? To be 100% honest, I didn't watch much of this one at all. I didn't even make it 30 minutes. There wasn't anything to grasp my attention. We've been doing inventory. We leave for Days of the Dead, Indianapolis in 2 days. So if you're going to that convention, check us out. We'll have tons of great stock. But anyways, this one just didn't have a lot of stuff. Big Bad Wolf, you would think that she's like a werewolf. And she may become one later on in the film. But again, just nothing to really hold my attention in the beginning. Now that Leigh wants to watch it, we may actually sit down now that we don't have as much to do, and kind of we may put this one to a rewatch. But for right now, I'm going to vote to sell. It didn't have anything in the first few minutes to keep my attention, so yeah, vote to sell for me. Like I said, we may rewatch that one. I didn't know she wanted to watch it. She didn't tell me, so we may put that one to a rewatch and try to watch it one night before bed or something. But and then next up here would be The Puppet Master from RLJ. This one's pretty good. I feel like this movie has been reviewed to death, so again, not going to do a whole lot on this one. But basically, this guy goes and he wins the puppets in an auction, and they awaken and kill people. Kind of a little bit of a different take. This was not done by Full Moon, surprisingly. This was released by RLJ. This is one of the newest, well, this is the newest Puppet Master. You had some like standalone films. Some of the characters got standalone films that have been since this, but this was the last Puppet Master film where they're all together. Pretty decent effects, pretty decent story. Vote to keep.
Okay. Am I doing that one?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Masters of the Universe. Again, we watched this one a little while ago. I don't know. Is this the one with Dolph Lundgren?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean,
Cheesy.
it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of cheesy, and it's got Skeletor and.
If you're a fan of He-Man, I feel like you'll be a fan of this, but most definitely just cheesy 80s action. So it's about the best synopsis for it. For me, vote to keep.
Okay.
We'll just knock that one out. Again, I feel like most people have seen Masters of the Universe by now. Alrighty, guys. So ending this 2 weeks episode, or whatever, however you want to consider that, this bi-weekly episode, we have TerraVision's release of Dance or Die. It's Murder on the Dance Floor is the synopsis kind of on the back. This is from City Lights. I love TerraVision. This was not one of my favorite my more favorite releases of theirs. It was just fine. Basically, you have this guy. He is a recovering drug addict, and he has a friend who is still dealing with drug addiction. And his whole thing in life is basically to write a dance play that is of the likes of a Flashdance. He wants to write one that is better than Flashdance. However, he goes back to his apartment. That's where he lives, and he finds his friend dead. And there's cocaine there, and so he winds up basically taking the cocaine. He's trying to kind of clean the crime scene to be like, oh, my friend is not an addict. And basically he gets roped into everybody thinking that he's the one who did it. And so, he's having to go to like his AA meetings, and, there's a whole lot of plots and stuff. There's this guy that keeps calling him, and he's like, you have something of ours, and they're like on the hunt for him. So he's kind of on the run, but he never really disappears from the public eye. Like, he's still trying to do his whole dance routine, his whole dance play and stuff. It's good enough for what it is. I absolutely love these TerraVision releases. They're doing all of them in like the big box with the slipcover, with the book and the poster. For now, this is I'm going to vote to keep. This may be one, here probably this winter, if we can continue on at the rate that we are going. If we can get caught up this winter, a big series I'm looking at doing is just a collection clean out. There's a lot of Vinegar Syndrome stuff that needs to go. There's a lot of TerraVision stuff that honestly needs to go. My Arrow's pretty good, but there's a lot of regular collection stuff that needs to go. So we'll see if we can get caught up. We'll probably be going through some of that stuff. So this may not last come then. But for now, it's going to be a vote to keep. It wasn't a bad film. It's not one that I would normally add to the collection. But again, because it is the TerraVision big box and everything, I'll keep it for now. Once this goes out of print, it may have some value, if we go to sell it later on. So not a bad film if you're in the market to get it, but it's not your typical TerraVision, like hack and slash, lots of blood, stuff like that. It's more story related and stuff like that. Not bad. Vote to keep.
All right.
Well, there we go. 40 films in total. We haven't counted here, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Half.
So half. We are selling half. That'll be the biggest sale episode yet. Again, a lot of these, did we watch them all the way through? No. But again, we probably have 100 to 150 movies to get through that are like new watches for us. So we don't have time to sit down and watch everything when films are an hour and a half, 2 hours long. Again, that 30-minute rule seems to work pretty good for us. A lot of times too, if we're like kind of on the fence, I'll look up on like IMDb and I'll see like, on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'll be like, out of 10, this scored a 4.6. And that kind of lets us know too, like,
those are usually the ones we like.
As in the broad scope of stuff, a lot of people are not typically going to like this, so we're probably good to say after 30 minutes we're good to sell. So we'll run back through these right quick just to end the episode. But selling Nighthawks, we've got Dracula 2000 and Dracula 2 Ascension. We've got Hellbreeder, Old Habits Die Hard. We've got Battle for the Planet and Mutant War. We do have the women. I feel like Leigh wanted to keep this. That'll be a discussion title. We have Little Bites. We have Baghead. We have The Curse of Wolf Mountain. Sator. Miami Vice and Inside Man double feature. The Last Match. Top Line. Convoy Busters, Deep in the Darkness, Curse of the Puppet Master, Crimes of the Future, Dead Girl in Apartment 3, Drive-In Massacre, and then the vote for now is to sell Hunted, but this one will require a rewatch because Leigh did want to watch this one. So we'll put this one back into the keep for now. I'll put it back on the shelf to watch. We'll see what happens with it. But guys, any of the horror there, if we've got horror, then it will of course be for sale at the Horrorland Media Convention booth. So definitely keep us in mind for that. Again, in 2 days' time, we will be in Indianapolis for Days of the Dead. So join us there. As always, like the video, comment, join us over on all of our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Join us on all those. Go check out the website. We've got Mothershucker along with Twisted Gables. We've got some t-shirts on there as well, Mothershucker and Horrorland Media shirts. So go check those out. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us. This has been a little bit of a longer episode, but again, we had a lot to get through. And again, shows like this, it really knocks down what we've got on the shelf. And I mean, this next month, looking over there at the stack for the month of June, we honestly don't have a whole lot of stuff. I actually have gotten several series and things that we've already actually seen. So not going to be a big deal for that. We won't be adding a whole lot to the shelf, I don't think. I do have several pre-orders. It's going to be a matter of if all that crap hits at one time and comes in. But anyways, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time for another episode of To Keep or Not to Keep.
To keep or not to keep.